and we are going to get started with one of my very first memories of meeting Judy. She's thinking, oh no, what's this about? Orestes and I had really just found unity just a few months before Judy came into our lives as the new minister at Unity Church for Creative Living in Jacksonville. And I went in to visit with her one day in her church office, and discovered that she had a practice of keeping a dish of angel hearts on her desk. And anyone who entered her office would draw an angel card, and the word on that angel card would be the theme of her opening prayer for this time together. It's a really beautiful practice. I, to this day, remember that the card I drew was harmony. And that has been such a theme for every step of my journey in unity. It's been really beautiful. And so now, what does harmony have to do with Valentine's Day? You see, we're celebrating. We've got these red hearts behind us, and we're all cozy together. Well, our founder, Charles Fillmore, said that the harmonizing, vitalizing power in the human is called love. So for Valentine's Day, we are celebrating harmony with the universe, harmony amongst all of us, harmony with the divine. And how we know when we are walking in harmony with the divine, when we are expressing that divine love. And so we can go back to a story about Valentine's Day just a couple of years ago, when I surprised this amazing man, and you all know how amazing he is, from Judy's introduction, and he is just as amazing at home as he is out in public life. So for Valentine's Day, a couple of years ago, I can't believe I pulled off this big surprise, but I gave him tickets to go on a cruise to his birthplace of Havana, Cuba. And I'm going to let Orestes take it from here.
Well, I just have to say, I am the luckiest guy in the world to have her. Can you believe that? A gift on Valentine's Day to go back to my birthplace. I hadn't been there in almost 40 years. So as you can imagine, I was so thrilled to be visiting Havana, Cuba with my lovebird. But she didn't know that there was a lot of obstacles in the way. For some reason, there was not harmony on this trip for me to get back to Cuba, communist country. And the first obstacle was, I'm going to show you, this is the Cuban passport. I don't know if you can see it, but that's me as a 4-year-old right there. And the Cuban passport that I had obviously was expired, and I had to renew it. So I called down to Miami to the embassy, the Cuban embassy, and they told me, oh, no problem. We can renew your Cuban passport for your trip. But the Cuban government is going to go to the house where you were born in Cuba. And good thing the house is still there. My dad built the house, a brick house, with his own hands. And the Cuban government is going to knock on the door and say, did Orestes Gutierrez live here? And luckily for me, my grandmother is still living there. And she was going to say, Oretico, of course I know Orestes Gutierrez. He's my grandson. So I was so excited this is going to happen. And it said it's going to take an entire year for you to renew your Cuban passport. So there was a little bit of a letdown, of course.
So much for my great Valentine's Day gift, right?
And of course, when we got to the port in Cuba, my lovebird gets to go out and explore Cuba without me.
I was dancing. I was going to the little bars, drinking mojitos, salsa dancing.
So I'm thinking, gosh, she likes to dance salsa. I'm in the Royal Caribbean cruise by myself. She's gonna be swept off her feet by a Cuban man who really knows how to dance salsa, and maybe she won't come back to me. I was really, my mind was really spinning. But wouldn't you know that after just like, she had about 6 hours on the Liberty port in Cuba, but wouldn't you know, she comes back 45 minutes later with the Cuban, authentic Cuban hat, and she gives me this hat, and I say to her, why are you not having fun in Cuba? And she just wanted to come to the ship to be with me. So that was so lovely of her. Our next stop was at Key West. We were so lucky and so honored to spend the day with Reverend Judy in Key West. And it was such an incredible experience. And I got to thinking, I couldn't make it to my birthplace. I was thinking maybe I can go back home for the first time in almost 40 years, but we felt so welcomed at Unity of the Keys. And I was thinking, in Key West, I lived for 2 weeks in the Cuban refugee tent, and that was my first physical home in America. But then we got to think, in the Unity perspective, where is your true home? It's not a physical location in time and space. It's where you feel welcome, where you feel at home with your spiritual family. And Unity has always been our spiritual family.
For the last couple of decades, yes. And so in this story, you know, we were really not in harmony with the divine in trying to get him to Cuba, but we were in harmony with the divine in being with our Unity family. And so that was just such a blessing to be able to do that. And you know, that we are such Unity junkies, Unity nerds. Like whenever we go on vacation, we go to Unity on Sunday. It's really kind of funny. So it's been really fun to be able to visit Judy on some of our travels. And she just radiates such love. And this brings me to another Unity definition of love. Love as one of the 12 powers. Love is the power to harmonize, unify, unconditionally attract, and feel affection for something. And so, yes, there is great affection, great attraction with our hearts and the Unity community and Reverend Judy. Of course, this is just a big love fest for Judy on Valentine's Day. That's what she asked for.
Can I interject something in here?
Absolutely.
I was so touched. I didn't know that Orestes had been in were you in a hospital in Key West? Do I remember that correctly?
Yeah, after 2 weeks in the Cuban refugee tent in Key West, I was rushed to the hospital. I got sick with the mumps, and yeah, so it was pretty scary, Yeah,
and I just felt like when you said that to us, and when you told us that this was your first home in the United States and your healing place, I was like, oh, this is the seeds of a great doctor story. Yeah, no accident.
Absolutely. And so circling back to love, now I'm going to share some quotes from real masters of the practice of love, the PhDs in the practice of love. Children. Specifically, I've got some quotes from 4th graders. So they were asked these questions. When is it okay to kiss someone? Well, you've got to be a good kisser. It might make your wife forget that you never take out the trash.
Oh, God.
That kid really knew how to keep in harmony with the divine, keeping harmony in the household. And another one, is it better to be single or married? And the answer from a 4th grader, it's better for girls to be single, but not for boys. Boys need somebody to clean up after them and pick up their socks. Another example of the Unity definition of feeling great affection for someone to go pick up their socks. Okay. Okay, and then what's our next story?
But you know, I want to share a story when I was not in harmony, and Reverend Judy helped get me out of this rut that I was in. I was a resident at Mayo Clinic, and I was chronically sleep deprived, overworked. I was not having fun with my job. I was giving patients pharmaceutical pills, and I really wasn't doing my mission as a holistic doctor. And I remember after one inspiring Sunday morning message Judy gave, she came up to me and shared with me a newspaper clipping and said, "Look at this doctor living their dream in Eugene." And of course, I was like a zombie as a resident in the hospital. And I promptly forgot about that newspaper clipping about a doctor living the dream in Eugene.
Probably because that was the day our son put the fart droid ringtone on your phone.
That's true. That's for another story. But then once I graduated from the residency program, we said, where can we raise a family? What's the best place in the country to raise a family? Because the Navy had given me orders to go to Jacksonville, Florida to practice. And then Mayo Clinic was there in Jacksonville, Florida. But then we had the freedom to go anywhere we wanted to go. And we put out some job offers. And you like this part.
Oh, well, this is another way that, you know, we have noticed the love notes from the universe that really just show us that we're going to the right place, doing the right thing, that we're in harmony with the divine. So we had decided that we did not want to stay in Florida because we wanted to take our family somewhere where our kids would experience 4 seasons. So, and in trying to stay on the East Coast, we thought North Carolina would be the place to be. So for 2 months, his CV had been on a job board looking for a doctor job in North Carolina. Now, you know, this guy had gone to one of the top medical schools in the country, Navy trained, Mayo Clinic residency. You think the phone would be ringing off the hook? No, not a peep. Crickets. Like, what is going on? 2 months, we started getting nervous. He's not going to have a job when he graduates. What do we do? Oh, well, okay. I guess we have to open up our search. Okay, let's look at West Coast because we want to be somewhere that we can drive to the ocean. West Coast. Okay. Washington's a little too cold. California, maybe a little too pricey for our young family. Let's look in Oregon. 6 a.m. one morning, I sent him to work with his little packed lunch, and I sat down at the computer while the kids were still sleeping, and I changed the job search. I added Oregon. Within 6 hours, I had 60 phone calls. 60. I think that was a pretty big sign that Oregon was where we were supposed to go. And I said, thank you, God. That was quite straightforward.
And then what happened next was we ended up somewhere in Oregon based on the hospital contract. And I was still stuck really in this factory line as an overworked physician employment model. And I really wasn't doing my dharma. I wasn't having fun in the model of practice, the hamster wheel, as I like to call it, what doctors do, the medicine, the factory line. And then after the 2-year contract, when we had the opportunity to create a holistic clinic and really practice true medicine, finding the root cause of disease, we thought, hey, remember Reverend Judy said there's a doctor in Eugene living the dream? We're in Eugene. So we actually were able to create our dream job. And I'll have to say there's an MBA who's the smartest person on the planet, who happens to be my wife, who was able to create this. She was my executive partner for 9 years. And we created this amazing clinic. And I feel we were able to make that dream come true, living the dream in Eugene.
Mm-hmm. The love notes from the universe.
And we were thinking, coming up with a process that we can share of how can we get in line with the divine and create the life that we're meant to live. And you want to share the...
So there's an acronym. If you want to get out your pencils now, there's going to be a quiz. FREED, freed. Is it fun? Are you getting results? Is it easy? Is your ego out of the way? And are you doing your dharma? Are you freed to receive those love notes from the universe?
And there's one last story that we like to share that we feel really highlights this process of being free. You know, a lot of times we're walking around, we can feel like we're in a mental prison, we're in bondage, we're in captivity, and just going through this freed process, I think, allows us to get on our path and know we are doing our work. And we had the good fortune, I guess we have a lot of, luck on the Royal Caribbean cruise, but we were on a different Royal Caribbean cruise. Anybody likes to do Royal Caribbean cruise as much as my wife? Hopefully sometime we'll be able to get back to doing that when COVID is over. But we were visiting the Caribbean, and during that time, what do Unity couples do on vacation, right? We talk about the Unity principles. So we were talking about the Unity principles, and I decided to bring my laptop. I probably shouldn't have brought my laptop, because when I opened up my laptop to write some powerful stories with a deep message about the 5 Unity principles that Reverend Judy talked about, 5 principles of inner and outer transformation.
I said, why do you have your computer out on vacation? Why are you working?
And what I said was, I'm not working. This is not work for me. This is play. I was having fun. I really was having fun writing the stories, and Love is the Answer. But we didn't know the title. So this was December. And we decided we're going to publish, and we had to come up with a title. And we were sitting there. The title had to come that evening, because it was going to be published on Valentine's Day. But we had this hard deadline, and we were talking about at least 20 different titles for the book. And my head was spinning because I had no idea what the title should be. Should it be 5 principles? Should it be universal principles? And then Pam said, I'll give her credit. She said, Love's the Answer. I said, no, that's not the title. I said, that's too simple. I said,
it's trite, it's overused.
Yeah.
No. I said, that's exactly why that should be the title.
So then we submitted it, and we couldn't take it back. It was out there in cyberspace. And then I promise you, the story we're going to share next on what happened the next day, I think the love notes from the universe may have given us the answer, but I'm gonna let Pam tell you that part of the story of what happened the next day.
So the next day we woke up in the port of Jamaica, and we really didn't have plans that day, except we just wanted to get our family into we had our 3 kids with us at that time. They were all teenagers. We wanted to just get our family to the beach for the day. And so we found a cab driver and said, can you take us to this place called Doctor's Beach? That's what we've heard is the best place to go to snorkel and enjoy the sun. And he said, sure, get in this cab. And he puts us in this big van. And we're sitting there sweltering inside this van. 20 minutes goes by.
Like an hour.
20 minutes goes by, 30 minutes goes by. We're just sitting in this cab at the port, and so finally Orestes got out of the cab to find the cab driver and say, hey, aren't we going? And he said, oh, well, man, I do a terrible Jamaican accent, so I'm not even going to try. I've got to fill the van. I can't just drive all the way to Doctor's Beach without a full van. So we need to get some more passengers in here. And, at this point I said, well, we're wasting too much time. We only have a few hours to spend at the beach. We need to find another way. And just at that time, a smaller cab came around the corner, just a sedan, just for one family. And the driver rolled down his window and said, hey, do you need to go somewhere? And I said, yeah, can you take my family to Doctor's Beach? Sure. So he pulls us all out of the big van and puts us in the small cab. Cab driver says, I'm going to take you to a better beach than Doctor's Beach. It's shorter drive. It's not going to cost you as much. You're going to get more time in the sun. You're going to have a wonderful time. We said, okay, that sounds great. So while we're driving, he says, do you mind if I put some music on? And no, that's great. We love music. You can put on some of the local music. So he starts. So he put on some reggae music by, in fact, one of Orestes' favorite artists.
So I start vibing with this taxi driver because he's a Rastafarian who looks like my favorite reggae artist from 25 years prior, and he's singing my favorite reggae songs from Buju Banton, and the trip there to the beach was amazing. Mm-hmm. And we had an incredible time. We at first we weren't in harmony, but then it felt like things were coming into harmony. And then when he picked us up, mm-hmm. Pam, she's a social butterfly. She loves to connect. He was kind of quiet. Mm-hmm. He was just taking us back to our cruise ship. He wasn't singing anymore. Mm-hmm. We thought something was wrong. And then Pam,
I said to him, hey, we really enjoyed the music on the way over. Would you mind singing some more for us? And then he kind of looked over his shoulder and he said, you like that music? And I said, yeah, we really like that music. We want to hear more music. And he says, well, would you mind if I sing you an original? And we said, of course, please do. Please sing us an original. And this clip we're going to show you now is what happened. Easy answer. Love is a key. Only love can set us free. Boy. Love is the answer. Love is a key. Only love can set us free. Boy. Long time I see to them no God mine. But we think them the change, I'm still bad mine. Already get your share and still want mine. But what's yours is yours and what's mine is mine. Make love go there, the evil man, them come before us. That motivate the I man to build me chorus. Them could have bad from your so to down a porous. Once he be poor, but Jaja enrich a morus. Because so then, love is the answer. Love is a key. Jafar, I represent. Love is the answer. Love is the key. Love will set us free. Are you freed? F-R-E-E-D? I think we had a pretty big love note from the universe right there. We knew that was the right answer.
Pam and I were really shocked because the previous night we were debating and we had all these obstacles and the kids had no idea what Pam and I had underwent the previous night trying to figure out the title, Love's the Answer, that came to us from the reggae artist so synchronistically. And when we shared with the kids the story of how that came to be, they thought we were actually making it up. They didn't believe us. They were like, no, that didn't happen, Mom and Dad. You're making up some stories. And we like to leave you guys with the freed mnemonic. The summary of this freed mnemonic is we're having fun. So this is where we're transforming our work into play, our vocation into a vacation. And I like to say it's good to have fun with your hun if you have a partner. And the R of results, this is where I think a lot of people make the mistake. The results is not the external results or rewards. It's mostly the results of how you feel inside, the internal peace, equanimity, serenity. That's how you know you're on the right path. And the E is ego. Are you edging God out? So in unity, we like to say, let go and let God. But in my household, I like to say, let go and let Pam. I think that is a way to be happy.
That keeps the harmony in the household.
I'm telling you, let go and let Pam. And the next letter is E, which is, it should be easy. When we're on our path, there's maybe some struggles, but it should come naturally. And when we're in doubt, we can listen to our inner intelligence, our inner wisdom. And that comes from our microbiome and all the serotonin that lives in our gut. And we can find the right path. And the last letter is D for Dharma. When we're on our path and doing our life's purpose, we are really freed and we feel the joy, the happiness. We have this intention of healing that Reverend Judy talked about. And when we are in harmony, we create our destiny and we generate more synchronicity in our lives. We're so happy to be able to share some stories with you today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was such beautiful sharing, and I'm so grateful to know the synchronicity that is working in your lives, and it's just so evident in the twinkle in your eyes and the radiance that you bring to this moment.